How gay a time it has been traveling up the river on this stern wheeler of considerable prowess. It has been so exciting to experience nature without a worry for pesky bugs or animal attacks. Yesterday, from the safety and comfort of our boat, we were lucky enough to see savages, just as the captain said we might. We were amused by the pranks of the half-naked Indian children, who ran into the waves raised by the steamboat wheels, flinging water about with exulting shouts, while a hard-featured savage, with a yell as of defiance, shot his canoe directly across the channel before the boat. What an authentic wilderness experience I've had thus far in this northern territory. Elizabeth Elliot, 1853.
My boat is usually a smart and lively little craft that can run like a scared owl over a dry sandbar, but this trip has struck us on bars a dozen times thus far. These unavoidable detentions, on account of the low stage of water, floating logs from lumber companies, and heavy freight, each involve a delay of several hours. The slow working over a formidable sandbar when one's time is precious is about as severe a test of patience as could well be devised. Now and then, all hands had to leap ashore and cut down wood from the shore to feed the engine while the Knapp thus labored along. Oscar F. Knapp, captain of the G.B. Knapp, 1867.
What a pleasurable time me and the boys have had this week on the river. Our steamer captain promised a braggart's bounty of fish and fowl, and he has delivered on his promise tenfold. Immediately after the Enterprise departed shore, we constructed a bulkhead around the forward guards of lower deck, a precaution rendered necessary for us to shoot waterfowl unobserved. After more than 30 brace of geese were expunged, we turned our sights to the sky overhead, which hung heavy with a thick flock of passenger pigeons. I fired my double barrel into a flock and brought down 52 pigeons at once, which must be a local record of sorts. Ebenezer Ayers, 1862.
When we signed treaty in 1837 to share our land with the white man, we said that when our grandchildren grows old, we will once again return to this land. But now the great Father beyond the mountains forbids us to even hunt or fish on these lands. We now depend on the whites for food and clothing more than ever before. The wild rice, elk, and beaver are gone, replaced by gunshots, disease, and Ishkote Nabiguan, those monstrous fire vessels belching up smoke on the river. Naganub, 1863.
I recently came across an astute political essay by a Mr. John O'Sullivan, a portion of which I've copied down for reflection. Quote, "And that claim is by the right of our manifest destiny to overspread and to possess the whole of the continent which Providence has given us for the development of the great experiment of liberty and federated self-government entrusted to us." End quote. And how right he is. This land, our land, is indeed a great experiment in freedom. I've discovered that with the abundance of resources in our world, Many have found a way to possess it, but only the smartest of men have discovered how to prosper from it. The potential riches of this land are bound only by one's motivation, creativity, and rapaciousness.
Do not believe the government flyers, as there is no royal road to farming in this new land. The towering pines have been leveled by the woodman's axe, leaving nothing but stump-strewn fields on the cutaway, which constantly flood from the dams and log drives on the river. My final attempt will be with cranberries on my 160 acres. If I cannot drain and reclaim the swamp pads as profitable cranberry marshes, we will need to abandon our homestead before another long winter arrives. Carl Nielsen, 1882.
Now that my syndicate owns the boom site and we have finished construction on the dam, I finally have complete control of this goddamn river, as not a single log or steamboat will move on it without paying to pass through my choke points. With the full command at the start and the end of the line, I am confident we will best last year's record of 200 million board feet harvested from the valley, and I can finally call this my River of Pine. Frederick Weyerhaeuser, 1890.
Rivers get more dangerous every year for River Pig, especially since that new boss logger took over the boom. He wants the sawyers to bring down 100 pine per day between the two of them on a crosscut, so I've seen some of the jammedest jams I ever saw. Heck, just last week, I was riding a drive down river when an overhanging branch took me off my log, and I fell head first into the river. Before I could right myself and get a breath, some half-dozen logs ran over me. I'd have been a goner if it weren't for the current spitting into the shallows. I swear, it took 2 days of eating hot pork and beans just to warm myself back up again. James Johnston, 1889.
We barely made it through the year on our new stead. If it were not for the hunting, fishing, and sugar mapling, we would have surely starved by now. My husband is forced to work in the logging camp during the winter months to make ends meet, while I stay back to tend the homestead alone. With the camp nearly a 10-mile walk away, he is only able to be home for a few hours every Saturday evening before returning to camp on Sunday morning. Why must I share my husband with a lumber baron, a scoundrel who takes his labor but returns but a fraction of its profit? Christina Nielsen, 1879.
The business of nature has been a magnificent one. It has enriched many. It has furnished and is still furnishing a means of livelihood for thousands. The ability to control and profit from nature is a power akin to that of a god. One can utilize or invent new technology that has the ability to change the course of evolution itself. We truly do have the power to begin the world over again and again. While at first it seemed worrisome to wield such power, it has now become a way of life. It seems there is no end to what we can do now, thanks to the technology that lies at the very tips of our fingers.